What's up fellow hunters, Nox here, welcome to another exciting build video. Today we have 6 amazing new charge blade builds with fun, comfort and meta options. Let's get right into it. We're gonna kick things off with something incredibly fun to use, the Happy Hopper. A build specialized for using Axe Hopper combined with the sleep status. The talisman I'm using is a attack boost level 3 with 3 level 2 slots. These are super easy to get now if you don't have one yet. All you have to do is use the cycle of smelting and select attack boost. If you have enough materials, you can get one in a matter of minutes. Weapon of choice is the Somnacanth charge blade. 400 attack, wide sharpness and 29 sleep. To increase our damage, we have attack boost level 7 for a big increase to raw attack. Since we're going to be using Axe Hopper, we want to get as much damage as possible out of the big aerial slam. To do that, we crank up the affinity as high as possible with Weakness Exploit and Critical Eye. Along with that, we of course have Critical Boost to get the most out of our critical hits. Next we have Sneak Attack, which works really well with the Axe Hopper playstyle. At level 3, this will give us a 20% damage boost whenever we attack the monster from behind its middle point. The Axe Hopper move takes us up into the air and we can freely choose in which direction to attack from there. That often makes it very easy to hit the monster from behind its middle point if you want to. However, the build is flexible. If you don't want to use Sneak Attack, you can simply take out the decorations. For example, you can then have access to Sleep Attack level 3, which would increase sleep from 29 to 39. Next we have the other skills beside attack boost that increase impact Phial damage. Starting of course with artillery. This will boost impact Phial damage by a huge 30%. Then we have offensive guard. This will increase attack by 15% for a short period of time after guarding at the right moment. It's a short but very large boost that applies to both impact Phials and raw damage. Load shells will of course be in every build for the faster Phial charges. We also have guard level 3 for more effective guarding. For sharpness management, we're using Razor Sharp. This will give us a 50% chance to not lose sharpness when landing a hit. Aside from that, we have a bunch of comfort skills like Stun Resistance, Intrepid Heart and Shock Absorber. As a bonus, we also have Powder Mantle, which will add further damage. This build is super fun and refreshing to use. I will show some augment recommendations like this after each build. The highest value skill would be Mail of Hellfire. After that, Build Up Boost and Extra Slottage have good value. One thing I recommend doing after augmenting is adding Defiance level 3 into the build. That way, most roars can't stop you in the air, which is really beneficial. Double Edge. The new best hybrid build for impact Phial damage and Savage Axe. To get a guard level 5 talisman with slots, just follow the same principle as for the attack boost talisman. This looks kinda freakish, but is actually nothing special anymore. Weapon of choice is the Gold Rathian charge blade. 390 attack, long wide sharpness, 50 poison and 10% affinity. To increase our damage, we're using the same essentials as before. Attack boost, artillery, offensive guard and a big stack of affinity based skills. Being a hybrid build that also uses Savage Axe, affinity plays a big role. This time it comes from a combination of Weakness Exploit, Critical Eye, Bloodlust and the 10% on the weapon, allowing us to reach 100% affinity on weak spots. A big difference to the previous build is that we have maxed out Guard and the 2 Bloodlust skills. Along with the regular Bloodlust I mentioned before, we also have the new Frenzied Bloodlust. This will give us an additional Wire Bug when overcoming the effect of Frenzy. How long we get to keep that Wire Bug will depend on the level of the skill. Having an additional Wire Bug at maxed out guard will really let you take advantage of openings. This makes a hybrid playstyle incredibly smooth to use. Rapid Morph adds extra smoothness as well, but can be replaced with anything else you might want, like Wire Bug Whisperer for example. The build also comes with 1 level of Blood Rite, meaning that we can heal ourselves while causing mayhem. Aside from that, we again have Intrepid Heart and Shock Absorber for additional comfort. The Coalescence on my talisman is a nice bonus that I got for free, but completely unnecessary. Knocking out monsters with a big discharge and then going in with the Savage Axe is incredibly satisfying to do. If you want, you can even use this build with one of the Paralysis charge blades. Doing that will give you extra openings to go in with the Savage Axe, and your whole team can enjoy some free hits. Augment recommendations are actually the exact same as before. Mail of Hellfire will still be the option with the most overall value. Before we jump into the element Phial builds, these are the best charge blades to use for each element. Auroracanth for ice, the Fish for water, Ragnakadaki for fire, Narwa for thunder, and Valstrax for dragon. I personally use all of the element charge blades with the Elambane Rampage decoration. Dragon is the only exception, but we'll get to that later. I recommend only using the Bane Rampage decoration if you can consistently aim for elemental weak spots. Otherwise, just use an anti-species decoration. First in line, the Prodigy, a super comfortable no dereliction template that can be used with any of the element Phial charge blades. That said, the dereliction builds we're gonna see afterwards are a bit stronger. This one is just an easy access template that anyone can pick up and deal massive damage, even if you never played charge blade before. To get all the essentials, you're only gonna need a talisman with 2 levels of Furious. It doesn't even need any slots. I'm using the Auroracanth charge blade as example here, but you can use any of the charge blades that I showed a moment ago. Since our main focus is elemental damage, we of course have level 5 of whatever element we choose. Then we have Element Exploit level 3 to increase elemental damage by 15% when attacking weak spots, along with Burst, which increases element output further when landing continuous hits. Depending on the weapon, we also get to add Teostra or Kushala Blessing for an additional 10% elemental damage on top. With all that, we already have a huge elemental damage output, but we're also making use of the synergy between Furious and Dragon Conversion here. Furious is really simple. As long as we're on the red scroll, it will give us 20 points to all resistances. And while on the blue scroll, Dragon Conversion will give us an additional plus 15 to all resistances after attacking the monster a certain number of times. Cool thing is, this resistance buff carries back over to the red scroll where the magic happens. Back on red, Dragon Conversion takes all resistance and counts it together. Then 25% of that number gets converted into whatever element we are using at the time. That will give us a total of 175 additional resistance, and all of that now gets converted into element attack. This means that these two skills alone will give us a bonus of 43.75 element attack, which gets rounded up to 44. That is absolutely massive. And of course, all the resistance you already have on your armor will get added into that and give you even more power. The fire and dragon resistance skill that you can see in the build also factors into giving us more element attack. To make the build super comfortable to use, we have a combination of Wind Mantle and Wirebug Whisperer. This will make sure we always have access to counter peak performance if we need it. Along with that, we have Rapid Morph, Guard, and Evade Extender, which can all increase smoothness of the playstyle. The Augment recommendations will look like this. If you can, you should aim for extra levels of Dragon Conversion on the chest and arms. That way you can drop the helmet and waist for better suited parts. If you have a Furious level 3 talisman or get Furious as an augment, you can replace the legs with the Risen Kushala ones. Now we get into the more specialized builds for each element that have a ridiculous damage potential, starting with the one for ice, water, and fire. The talisman again is very simple. All you need is Dragon Conversion level 2 and nothing else. The base elemental setup is the same as for the Prodigy build, but we have two big differences. Instead of Furious, we're using a big stack of the element resistance skills: Fire, Water, Ice, Thunder, and Dragon Resistance. This doesn't change anything about the synergy with Dragon Conversion. It still all gets converted into element attack. And two, we're now using a second elemental synergy as well: Dereliction and Strife. Dereliction will slowly drain our health but give us additional element on the red scroll. At level 2 we get 7, 12 or 15 additional element depending on the number of Curio flying around us. And since Dereliction will leave us with constant red health, this will automatically activate Strife. At level 2, Strife will increase our element by 10 to 15% depending on how much red health we have. But we always get at least 10% even if it's just the tiniest bit of red. Overall, this build will have about a 15 to 20% higher elemental output than the non-dereliction version. By the way, in case you didn't know, you can use a gourmet fish and eat for the super recovery dango to slow down any kind of health drain. You might have noticed that we also have Bloodlust here. For some, this might look like a bit much to deal with, but we do have Bloodrite as well, meaning that we can heal ourselves. And with the massive amount of damage this build does, you can easily heal a third of your health or more with a single discharge. But if you still rather not use Dereliction and Bloodlust together, there's an easy fix. You can replace the Risen Chagaru legs with the Risen Kushala ones. The base skills will stay exactly the same with only one difference. You will lose a bit of power due to Strife, but gain additional comfort due to having Wind Mantle instead. It's a very solid trade. These are the Augment recommendations. The biggest value here would be adding Furious into the build for further damage. If you choose to go with the Risen Kushala legs, I highly recommend trying to get Strife up to level 2. Next, we have the specialized build for Thunder. Our main damage essential skills are the exact same as for the previous build, but we do have one big difference. Thanks to the new talismans, we can finally make use of Narwa and Ibushi parts in builds without losing tons of other important skills. This is a huge change for Thunder and Dragon builds. We can now make efficient use of Storm Soul to get an extra elemental boost. At level 2, this will increase Thunder and Dragon element by 10%, which is great. We're not going for level 3 because we do need the other parts for various reasons. Strife has dropped down to level 1, which is why this will be one of the main things to aim for with augments. Due to the side skill on my talisman, I have guard up level 3. However, that isn't necessary at all. The build comes with guard up level 1 by default, which is all you would need to block unblockable attacks. Either way, the skill is more of a bonus here. As I mentioned a moment ago, Strife level 2 will be the first thing you want to get with augments. After that, you can aim for Dragon Conversion if you would like to replace the talisman with a different one. Aside from that, you can use any additional slots for more element exploit or the final element resistance skill. Now we have Dragon, which is a bit different from the other builds. The biggest change here is that we're using Dragon Heart level 4 or 5. Depending on the level, you will have to be at 70 or 80% health or less to activate the skill. Which level you want to use will be up to you. The skill will set all element resistance to 50, which is the maximum. And Dragon Conversion will then of course take all that and convert it into element attack, giving us a boost of 62.5 element, which is massive. However, this will only work for Dragon element, because the Dragon Heart skill also gives us Dragon Blight. This will deactivate all elements beside Dragon. Aside from all the other damage essentials for the specialized element builds, we also have another big damage increasing factor, the Valstrax Soul Decoration in the Rampage slot. This will increase Dragon element by another 20% as long as we have Dragon Blight. Storm Soul is only sitting at level 1 because this is an augment free version. The goal here is to get one level of Dragon Conversion into the chest and arms. That will allow us to replace the helmet and waist with Narwa parts, which will then give us access to Storm Soul level 3 without losing any essential skills. If you got super lucky with the talisman and got Dragon Conversion or Strife as the secondary skill, you can aim for the other one with the augments. That would be the max possible damage you could get out of the build. Make sure to check out the other builds for all kinds of weapons on the channel so you don't miss anything you might enjoy. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.